On November 14, 2013, Amanda Fitch was sitting inside a gray 2011 Chevrolet Malibu at a BP gas station on South Stony Island Avenue in Woodlawn. It was rush hour, traffic was moving. People were stopping for gas on both sides of the pumps. Everything around her looked public enough to feel safe. Then somebody walked directly to the driver's side window and opened fire. She was 24 years old. She was pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital at 6:53 that evening, and the case has never been closed through a public conviction. But here's what made this murder different from hundreds of other unsolved Chicago homicides. Within hours, the streets already had a name. Within days, Reddit had a theory. And over the next decade, the same allegations, the same alleged phone call, and the same two names from THF 46 kept coming back every single time somebody searched Big A online. Those names are Bayzoo and Gucci the Menace. Neither of them was ever publicly charged with Amanda Fitch's murder, but the street version of this case has been treated like a conviction for over 10 years. Today we go through the actual homicide file. RD number HW533515, the gas station crime scene, the 9mm cartridge cases recovered from the driver's side of a Malibu, the witness contradictions, the connection to L'A Capone's murder, and the Reddit allegations that turned a 2013 gas station shooting into one of the most argued cases in Chicago drill history. The complete FOIA file, the scene breakdown, the ballistic inventory, and the full document archive are at TopTrendReportTV.com in the Chicago section, because this is one of those cases where the paperwork hits completely different from the street version. Let's get into it. To understand why Big A's murder became what it became, you have to understand what happened exactly 49 days before she was killed. On September 26, 2013, Leonard Anderson, known as L'A Capone, was shot and killed in the 7000 block of South Stony Island Avenue. CBS Chicago reported he was walking through an alley when he was confronted and shot. Mako Buchanan later received a 45-year prison sentence in connection with the case. L'A Capone was one of the more recognized names in early Chicago drill. His death sent a wave through the South Side that did not settle in the weeks that followed. The grief was real, the anger was real, and in the world of 051 Young Money and THF 46, those two things together had a way of turning into something else fast. By the fall of 2013, 051 Young Money and THF 46 were already one of the most discussed rivalries in Chicago drill circles. Not because of music, because of what was happening on the streets. These were not abstract internet feuds. They were rooted in real blocks, real losses, and real retaliation logic that moved faster than any investigation could keep up with. When L'A Capone was killed, the grief on the 051 side was immediate and visible, and on the other side of that grief, according to the street version, there was already a calculation being made about who was responsible and what came next. Amanda Fitch was killed less than 2 months later, also in the Stony Island corridor, and her name appears directly in the court records surrounding People versus Buchanan, the L'A Capone case. The Illinois court opinion references Amanda Fitch as someone who had been murdered in November 2013 and notes that Buchanan identified photographs of several people, including Fitch and Anderson. That one legal reference is what gave Reddit its foundation. Her name in a court document tied to L'A Capone's case, combined with the 49-day gap between his death and hers, built a retaliation theory that has been the dominant online explanation ever since. Now, her appearance in that court record doesn't prove she drove a car, planned anything, or pulled a trigger on anything. Appearing in an investigation is not the same as being convicted of involvement. The court document does not charge her with conspiracy. It does not name her as a participant in Anderson's death. What it does is confirm that her name was present in the investigation in a way that prosecutors and detectives found relevant enough to document, and that the Illinois court record preserved. That distinction matters, but on Reddit, the distinction collapsed almost immediately. Her name in the legal record became proof of involvement, and her murder 6 weeks later became confirmation that the other side knew exactly what they believed she had done. The legal connection is real and documented. The interpretation built on top of it is a decade of street logic that never got tested in a courtroom. Here's the important thing to hold on to before we get into the scene. By November 14th, 2013, the tension between 051 and THF 46 was already running at a level where a public gas station in broad evening light was not safe enough to protect someone the other side believed was connected to L'A Capone's death. The location, the timing, the geography, all of it aligned in a way that made the retaliation theory feel almost inevitable once people started connecting the timeline. Whether that theory is accurate is the question this case has never answered publicly, but the climate that surrounded it is real. At approximately 5:56 p.m. on November 14, 2013, police and emergency personnel responded to the BP gas station at 6600 South Stony Island Avenue. Amanda Fitch was found inside her gray 2011 Chevrolet Malibu, suffering from gunshot wounds. Chicago Fire Department Ambulance 22 transported her to Stroger Hospital. She was pronounced dead at 6:53 p.m. The homicide file classifies this as a first-degree murder, lists the weapon as a handgun capable of firing 9mm rounds, and records the investigation as gang-related. Now here's the first contradiction this case never resolved. A witness told DNA Info that a dark-colored vehicle pulled up next to Amanda's car. Someone fired 3 shots through the driver's side window and the vehicle sped away. The witness said all 3 bullets entered near the driver's side window by the mirror. When she looked over, Amanda was slumped inside the car. The official police narrative describes the offender approaching Amanda on foot while she was seated in the vehicle, firing multiple times and striking her. A vehicle pulling up and speeding away versus a shooter approaching on foot. Those 2 pictures are not impossible to combine. The shooter could have arrived in a vehicle, stepped out, walked to the driver's window, fired, and gotten back into the car. But they create 2 different crime scene realities from the very first night, and that gap never fully closed. The crime scene evidence is where this case gets its weight, and it is the part of the file that Reddit almost never discusses because ballistic inventories and wound analysis are less shareable than an alleged phone call. But the physical evidence is what actually ties the official record together. Detectives processed Amanda's gray Malibu in full. The FOIA inventory lists bullet holes in the driver's front door window frame, damage to the driver's side window area, damage to the driver's side mirror, evidence collected from the front seating area, the driver's door interior panel, the front driver's side, and the rear driver's side exterior. Photographs were taken of every relevant section of the vehicle: the rear of the Malibu, the driver's side, the front seating area, the driver's door, the mirror, the front wheel, the inside front door panel, and the rear driver's side exterior. The ballistic evidence recovered from the scene includes multiple 9mm Luger-fired cartridge cases, Winchester casings, Geco casings, and RP casing. Metal fragments recovered from inside the driver's door frame, from the vehicle itself, and from the ground near the front of the car. The variety of casing manufacturers matters because it tells you something about the gun and how it was loaded. Street shootings frequently involve weapons loaded with mixed ammunition. Different brands loaded into the same magazine from different sources. Nobody in that world is shopping for uniform factory loads. The mixed casings at the Big A scene are consistent with a weapon that had changed hands or been loaded from whatever was available. All of it 9mm, all of it it fired at close range into the driver's side of a gray Malibu at a public gas station on a Thursday evening. The witness heard 3 shots. The scene inventory tells a more complete story. In chaotic shooting situations, witnesses in the moment count what they can register under stress. The physical evidence preserves what actually happened. And what happened here involved multiple rounds fired along the driver's side of that Malibu from a position close enough to produce the wounds documented at Stroger Hospital. The official wanted description from the homicide report lists. 1 black male offender, approximately 6 feet 1 inch, 185 pounds, wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, blue jeans, and white gym shoes. 1 offender. That detail becomes critical later when the street version names 2 people. The injuries confirm the angle of the attack. Amanda sustained 1 gunshot wound to the chest or armpit area and another to the left arm. She was seated in the driver's seat. Her left side was oriented directly toward the driver's door. Those wounds are exactly consistent with rounds entering from the left side through or near the driver's window at close range. The left arm position suggests she may have been turning, reaching, or pulling away in the seconds before impact. The body moves even when the mind has not yet processed what is happening. The wound locations preserve that moment in the medical record. This was not a drive-by from a passing lane with distance between the gun and the target. Whoever fired those shots stood close enough to the driver's window to put rounds into her chest and left arm with the kind of placement that says they were right there. They approached, they fired, and then they were gone before police arrived at 5:56 p.m. The BP gas station on South Stony Island is a commercial location. Evening hours, artificial lighting, a public corner where cameras should have been everywhere. The early investigation ran into the same wall that appears in case after case from this era. Camera systems at key locations either could not be accessed quickly enough, were not functioning properly, or produced footage too poor in quality to generate a usable identification. That gap between where cameras should have delivered and where they actually delivered is one of the biggest reasons this case never produced a public arrest. And it is one of the biggest reasons the internet filled the space the investigation left open. No clear footage, one limited suspect description, and a murder that the street had already labeled within hours. This is the part Reddit has been arguing about since 2013. The 2 names attached to Big A's murder in nearly every online discussion are Bayzoo, Devonshire Collier from THF 46, and Gucci da Menace, also from THF 46. Neither was ever publicly charged with Amanda Fitch's murder, but the street version did not wait for a charge. The most repeated detail in the entire online case is the alleged phone call. Reddit users claimed that Amanda's brother Arias, known as Ario, told police that Bayzoo called him after the murder and bragged. The phrase that appears across multiple posts across multiple years is some version of "On Gouda, I whacked her big ass." That alleged statement is treated across r/cheericology like a documented confession. It is the reason Bayzoo's name became the dominant answer every time someone asked who killed Big A. Here's where it has to be handled carefully. The 20-page FOIA file that is circulated publicly includes the incident report, the evidence inventory, case supplementary reports, and scene processing documentation. The visible pages in the publicly available upload do not show a complete, clearly readable interview transcript where Ariel makes that exact statement in full. No full publicly readable transcript has ever surfaced confirming the quote exactly as Reddit repeats it. But that never stopped the internet from treating it like a signed confession. That statement may exist in a separate supplement, a different FOIA release, or a portion of the file not visible in the uploaded pages. It may also be years of distortion around a real document that got passed through enough hands that details changed until a complete readable interview page is produced showing that statement clearly. The alleged Ario phone call is an online allegation, a widely repeated one, but an allegation. The Reddit discussion around Big A breaks into recognizable lanes, and understanding those lanes is what separates the case file version from the gossip version, because Reddit is not one unified theory. It is 5 competing theories that have been running alongside each other since 2013, without any of them being able to fully close out the others. Lane 1 is the Bayzoo crowd. These users treat the alleged REO statement as the center of the entire case. Their argument is not forensic. It does not start with the 9mm casings, or the wound locations, or the surveillance failure. It starts and ends with that phone call. Old screenshots have circulated in various forms across years of threads. Bayzoo's alleged history of speaking recklessly online about things that implicated him gets mentioned repeatedly. The strength of this lane is real. If the statement exists in complete readable form, it is a direct admission relayed to police by a family member, and that is a serious piece of evidence. The weakness is that the complete document has never been publicly confirmed in a way that ended the argument. Lane 2 is the Gucci crowd. Multiple Reddit threads across different years reference claims from family members, an informant, and Big A's ex that Gucci the Menace was the actual shooter. One commenter in the December 2021 r/Cheericology thread used the one offender detail in the FOIA report as a specific argument. If only one person is listed as the offender, then maybe Bayzoo was the one who called REO to taunt him, while Gucci was the person who actually walked up to the driver's window and pulled the trigger. That theory uses the official file to separate the two names instead of combining them. Lane 3 is the both of them version, a coordinated THF-46 operation where the roles were divided. One person drove, one person shot. This is the broadest theory because it absorbs both names without having to choose between them. The official one offender description creates pressure on this version, but Street Logic has always pushed back on that by arguing that one offender on paper means the person who fired, not the full count of everyone involved in getting to that gas station and leaving it. Lane 4 is the L'A Capone retaliation frame. This is the version that gives Big A's murder its widest historical weight. The theory is clean in its logic. L'A Capone was killed in late September. Big A was allegedly connected to that murder, and THF came for her before the year ended. The timeline fits. The geography fits. The court record places a name in the LA investigation. The weakest part is that no public document ever confirmed her exact role in the L'A Capone case, which means the motive in this theory is built on the assumption that appearing in a legal record equals proven participation. That assumption has never been tested in a courtroom. Lane 5 is the skeptic lane. These are the commenters who pump the brakes on everything. They remind the thread that no arrest was ever made, no trial was held, no conviction came. They ask whether Bayzoo was actually confessing or whether he was using a grieving family member as an audience to perform for. They question whether partial FOIA documents have been misread over years of circulation until people treat an interpretation as fact. They ask the most important question of all. If the street supposedly solved this case in the first 24 hours, why did the case file never produce a single public arrest? That skeptic lane is the most important one, not because it proves innocence, but because it keeps the file honest in a way that the other lanes rarely do. Reddit can preserve street memory, community narratives, and angles that formal records completely miss. But Reddit cannot convict anyone, and the distance between what Reddit decided happened and what a courtroom ever confirmed is the exact space this case has been living inside for over a decade. A third layer of online theory involves Bob O from THF allegedly putting a price on Big A before she was killed. This one is the least stable of all the theories. It appears more as a rumor people bring up and debate than as something anyone anchors to a specific document or statement. Some users argue that the THF side would not have needed a bounty to come for someone they believed was connected to L'A Capone's murder. Others treat the bounty as an additional layer on top of the retaliation motive. Neither version appears in the official case summary. It does not show up in public news coverage. There is no court document attached to it. It belongs in the discussion as an example of how far street theories branch from the original murder file, not as a confirmed motive. In October 2025, Devin Shikalia, THF Bayzoo, was killed in a shooting. CWB Chicago reported on the death. Hindustan Times also covered the online reaction, while noting that some claims circulating could not be independently verified. His death reignited the Big A conversation immediately. Some users framed it as long delayed consequences from the 051 and THF war. Others posted old threads about the Ariel phone call allegation, as if Bayzoo's death retroactively confirmed what the streets had always said. Others pushed back hard, saying there was no proven connection between his death and the Big A case, and warning that fans were forcing old beef narratives onto new violence. The pushback is the right instinct. Bayzoo's death did not solve the Big A case. It did not produce a confession, a court document, or a police statement confirming what happened on November 14, 2013. What it did was give the internet another moment to revisit the same decade-old allegations with fresh emotion underneath them. The case stayed exactly where it had always been, in the space between official paperwork and street memory. The Big A case has 4 contradictions that never closed, and that is exactly why it is still being argued in 2025. First, the shooter's position. A witness described a vehicle pulling up and speeding away. The official narrative describes a shooter approaching on foot. Both can technically be true, but they create 2 different crime scenes from the very first night. Second, the offender count. The official report lists 1 offender. Reddit names 2. 1 offender on paper does not automatically mean only 1 person was involved in the full operation, but it means the dual shooter theory has never been reconciled with what the official file actually says. Third, the motive. Officially, gang related. On the street, L'A Capone retaliation. Those are not mutually exclusive, but only one of them is in the file, and only one of them has been tested against any kind of evidence. Fourth, the alleged confession. Reddit treats Bayzoo's alleged phone call to Ariel as the strongest piece of evidence in the entire case. The publicly visible FOIA documents do not show a complete readable transcript, confirming that, quote, that absence does not prove it never existed. It proves the case should not be written as solved when the key document has never been publicly confirmed in full. Amanda Big A Fitch was 24 years old. She was sitting alone in a gray Malibu at a public gas station during evening traffic on a clear November day. The shooter reached the driver's side window and put rounds into her chest and left arm at close range. She died at Stroger Hospital less than an hour later. The official record is clear on all of that. What it is not clear on is who did it. The wanted description is generic. The surveillance failed. The early investigation did not produce a public arrest, and the case has carried an open status in the public record ever since. The street record is louder. In the online version, Big A was 051 Young. Money, THF, had a reason to come for her. Bayzoo allegedly bragged to her own brother. Gucci allegedly got named by people closest to her, and the whole thing connects back to L'A Capone dying on the same stretch of Stony Island 49 days earlier. Between those 2 versions is the real unanswered case. The full scene breakdown, the complete FOIA inventory, the ballistic details, the witness contradiction analysis, and the complete document archive are at TopTrendReportTV.com in the Chicago section, because this is one of those cases that only makes full sense when you go through the actual paperwork layer by layer instead of just reading what Reddit decided the paperwork said. The official question has not changed since 5:56 p.m. on November 14, 2013. Who really killed Big A, and why did a case the streets claim was solved in the first 24 hours never produce a single public arrest? Those two questions are still sitting in RD number HW533515, waiting